Hi everyone, Sean from Plastic Star Wars here. Today I'd like to talk about my 1/89 scale MPC Shuttle Tyduria model kit. This kit was initially released in 1983, but I got mine sometime in the early 90s. I've built quite a few MPC Earthal kits during the 90s, but as I was unskilled and impatient back then, the builds didn't quite hold up. So I've been trying to rebuild them in recent years. This shuttle was rebuilt a few years back, so while I would have done some things differently today, I'm still very happy with how it turned out. This is the box art of the model. It looks great because they featured the filming miniature instead of the actual kit. When I finished building it the first time around, I noticed that the angle of the cockpit was more steep and the model looked generally stumpier than the shuttle on the box art. It was much later that I realized that the MPC was modeled after the full-scale movie set and not the filming miniature, which had an obviously sleeker profile. So when I decided to rebuild it, I made it a point to try to get it to look more like the studio model. Besides adjusting the angle of the cockpit, I also had to make it look slimmer overall in profile, so I removed quite a bit of plastic from the cockpit as well as the main hull. Once the upper portion of the cockpit has been slimmed, I went about making a canopy so that it fits slightly lower into the cockpit and not perfectly flushed like it was before. I've also painted the pilots as well as installed fiber optics at this stage. I tried to be subtle with the cockpit lights because I didn't want it to look overlit. It's a detail that I wanted in my model that isn't film accurate, since you can't see through the dark canopy in the movie at all. I then went about making adjustments to the stock details by scratch building things such as longer air intakes and adding additional hull plate details. I've also cut out the main engine vents in preparation for lighting. Since the hull has been reshaped, the stock back panel also had to be rebuilt. In the process, I added more detail by scratch building some greeblies and adding some pipework to make it look closer to the filming model. Now at this stage I was quite happy with the progress, but when I did a comparison profile view with the filming model, I noticed that the upper hull section where it met the top wing was too long, so I had to rework the entire hull section. And eventually I managed to truncate it, and while it isn't exactly spot on, it was much closer in proportion to the filming miniature than before. So I moved along with the rest of the build. Because I worked on the hull so much, the original panel lines had to be rescribed. Thankfully it's not too detailed and I managed to pull it off. Next, I had to work on a new neck or hallway connector to attach the cockpit. Unfortunately, I didn't document this process, but it's mainly just scratch building a similar hallway to the existing piece, but with an adjusted angle where it connects to the cockpit. Then it's back to adding more details that I saw were there from reference pics that didn't exist in stock form. The original main guns from the kit didn't age well, so I had to make new ones out of steel needles, but with the sharp tip removed. I also scratch built some greebles to add to the detail. No idea what they are in universe, but they are there on the filming miniature, so I decided to add them in. Then I worked on the lighting. I tend to be lazy with electronics, so for this build I used chain LED Christmas lights. The lights are divided into two groups. The first group of lights light up the engines and landing lights. The other group lights up the wingtips. This is one of the things I wish I'd done differently today, as there are more lighting options available in recent years. After the lights were installed and the wings were sealed, I added more details by adding bits and pieces of plastic and styrene all along the grooves. Lastly, I made a simple base for it, added an Imperial logo from leftover Metal Earth parts, and gave it a telescoping stand so it can be posed with different wing configurations. And just like that, this old kit was given a new lease of life. It's an oldie but a goodie, considering this is such a beautiful starship design. I'm really surprised that there really isn't many options out there other than this NPC, which still comes up on eBay and Amazon from time to time. I hope we will get a new updated kit of this someday soon, knowing that the technology has moved on so much, and accuracy wise, like the kits these days, they really look like they just came out of the Lucasfilm archives. So I can't wait for someone to do an updated version of this kit. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Until then, stay safe and happy modeling.